Alright, so it's kind of weird because I'm like at the share house, which kind of seems to be like a Mormon house. But I don't care because as one of the ancestors, royal ancestors of Joseph Smith, has given me permission to read my NIV Bible anywhere I want to because she greatly likes my interesting stories and how I have lots of questions that then ignite her desire to further seek out her own stuff. So, to her, thank you very much. God bless you. Her name is Holly Wilson. So, either way, today's story and questions are going to be in regard to Adam. Now, we are going to skip ahead a little bit from Genesis 1 to Genesis 5 because we know through Genesis 1 through 4 there is discussion of Cain and Abel, and there's a short story regarding these two, and particularly that they came from Adam and Eve. Now, here's the questionable thing though. There seems to be two different versions of the genealogy of Adam, and I have questioned this because of, in the beginning, Genesis 1 through 4, there is a discussion of how they made them in our likeness. And there is kind of a cascading multiple ideas behind that. But before we go into the story creation of that, we will further begin to create and elaborate the Genesis 1 story that we're doing. But we're slightly taking a break today to discuss the parallel genealogy of Adam. So, in the beginning, Adam and Eve were created, and thusly Cain and Abel were created. Well, by the time you get to Genesis 5, there is a story of Adam to Noah, and it is called the written account of Adam's line. And there so happens to be two very important missing characters from this particular line. Now, there is a third character who is quite interesting, Enoch. Now, Enoch is traditionally supposed to have been born from Cain. Now, here's the funny thing. Enoch is also born from another person, okay? Now, here is the beginning of Adam to Noah. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them, male and female, and blessed them. And when they were created, he called them man. No deviation between male and female. That all were called man, or actually back then called Adam. When Adam lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image. So thusly, this person was also made in the image of God, because Adam and Eve were made in their image. So at 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, and named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Adam lived 930 years and then died. The interesting thing about this particular passage here is it says that when he lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, that being equal to that of God, by the account that God created them in their own likeness. Now, after Seth was born, okay, so this being the first child of Adam, was other sons and daughters. So it is stating that after Seth was born, there were other creations of lineage. It is not stating anything prior to Seth. So this makes it very interesting, because is this a different Adam? Is this a different account where Cain and Abel have been eliminated from it? Okay, we'll continue forward. Then Seth had lived 105 years. He became the father of Enosh. And after he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Seth lived 912 years, and then he died. Now, we're going to continue down this line of Seth, okay, because this is the line that is given to us. Not particularly speaking of anybody else at this point, because it seems as if Seth is the firstborn. Now, when Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. And after he became the father of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived 905 years, and then he died. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. And after he became the father of Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Now don't worry, we're getting to the interesting point here. It just takes a second to get there. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. And after he became the father of Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Mahalalel lived 895 years, and then he died. Now, here's where I'm going to get to something interesting, and then we're going to look back, okay? When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. And after he became the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived 962 years, and then he died. Now, this is the Enoch that particularly walked with God. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. And after he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked with God for 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and then he was no more, because God took him away. Now, if we go back, okay, we gotta pause for a second. Okay, so we're going to go back to Cain and Abel. This is going to be Genesis 4. Adam lay with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man." Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. But Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, you will not be accepted. But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must master it." Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." And while they were out in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But the Lord said to him, "Not so. If anyone kills Cain, he will suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain came out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Now this is interesting because we have a land of Nod. We have a land that has a name outside of Eden, to the east of it. Now, does this mean that there is presence of people there? And if so, where are the stories of creation of those presences? And here's where it gets very interesting, because only one of two things come to my mind. And it creates a cascading thought of interesting nature as to what could really be hidden within the messages. Cain lay with his wife. Now, by this time, we have not heard of anybody else besides Adam and Eve giving birth to Cain and Abel. Who else could be Cain's wife? Where did she come from? Is it Eve at this point? And it can quite possibly be if you read the dots. But this is not something that I'm particularly suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that there is this wife now that did not exist prior to this. And she became pregnant. And here's the thing that why I wanted to read from Adam through this Cain story is because, well, Cain's wife became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. When Cain was building a city, and he named it after his son, Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Mahalalel, and Mahalalel was the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah was the father of Lamech. Lamech married two women, one named Adah and the other Zillah. So now we have three women of which we have no course of their birth, which makes it very interesting because we have similar names coming from Cain, who is no longer a part of the lineage account from Adam to Noah. Now, Adah gave birth to Jabal. He was the father of those who lived in tents and raised livestock. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the harp and the flute. Zillah also had a son, Tubal-Cain, who forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain's sister was named Naamah. This is the first point of where we hear where a woman outside of Eve may have come from. We know that Naamah was Tubal-Cain's sister, so that kind of gives us the idea that it came from Zillah. So, Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, "Listen to me, wives of Lamech. Hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times." It goes on to say Adam lay with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son. So now that this is stating that after all these people have been created, Adam finally lay with his wife again. Is this word a connotation or a notation to a different reference and use than what we use in the modern day? So could Adam's wife also have been Cain's wife? And could there have also been others who were the wife of Eve and helped create some of these other people? Outside of that, could these other people come from the land of Nod? And if so, the creation stories of the land of Nod are still out there and not inside the NIV Bible at this time, at this point. The land of Nod's notation or other notations of creation during and around the existence of Adam and Eve may be present, but we have not gotten there thus far. So Adam lay with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, "God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him." Seth also had a son and named him Enosh. At that time, men began to call on the name of the Lord. That ends Genesis 4, which is where I wanted to get to after reading Genesis 5 first, because there is two different apparent lineages, as in the written account of Adam's line does not contain Cain or Abel or Cain's lineage this far. I hope this was an interesting episode for you guys, and we look forward to making another one later. This is Kevin Fuller from the DPA, Bark Park. Have a wonderful day.